Pleasurable.
What
Unfortunately.
up, no? This is Knockouts in 3 Counts. But before we bring you another episode of Podcast Gold, let me tell you about the homies over at Michigan's Finest. Do you ever find yourself trying to get yourself together and thinking, man, this is going to be a great night, but I'm looking for that little extra something? Well, check out our friends at Michigan Finest. If you are into medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, concentrates, vapes, anything of that sort, Michigan's Finest has got you covered. And as you can see here, it's all easily done by their website. It's all curbside, and you'll be in and out in 2 minutes. And they're family owned and operated, so customer service is their number one goal. And now, since they are rocking with Knockouts in 3 Counts, use the code KO3MF. Yes, that's KO3MF. You get 10% off your entire order, but that does exclude featured items and items that are already on sale. But if you use that code, you're getting 10% off your items, and I promise you, either if you're looking for that big knockout or you're ready to hit the sheets for that 3 count, Michigan's Finest will get you together. Tell them Knockouts in 3 Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're going to be having a great night. Peace.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts. We got a new world champion.
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts in 3 Counts is the podcast, baby. It's the real deal, baby.
Knockouts in 3 Counts starts now.
What up, no? It is another Tuesday. This is Knockouts in 3 Counts, and I have survived slinging the mail without going postal yet, but maybe that's just because I had a vacation. But without any further ado, man, you know, a guy who's been making a lot of ruckus in the wrestling world lately, our homie Darren McCarty. How the hell you doing, brother, man?
Oh, me? Oh, what's going on, fellas? First shout out to Michigan's Finest as proprietor of the Darren McCarty brand and a cannabis consumer. Plant saved my life. Heck of a job that they do. Glad to see it's on board. I went to wear my Bully Ray shirt, but it looks like the dog's got it and they're chewing it up, or the cat's got it in the litter box as it deserves. So I'm rocking my everyday struggle. Shout out to the Strugs. But it's great to see you guys. I see all your beautiful faces that I love. Knockouts in 3 Counts, and you know, here you go, boys. This is the hometown podcast. I consider the Detroit kids doing right. That's where I get great UFC information. I appreciate it. My man. And then J-Bone, good to see you live. And Kyle, you know what? I didn't get a call for that bail money because you went postal. So congratulations, another day. Let's talk wrestling, fighting, whatever you want, boys. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Can I just say how big of a weight it
is?
is lifted off my shoulders that I know if I ever needed bail money that I could always just call my good buddy D-Mac. Now we're talking. Hot damn it. That's a weight lifted off my shoulders.
It's like bail bonds. It's only for knockouts and 3 counts, though.
I seen the Sam Bernstein commercial. I didn't see the bail bondsman one.
No. That's it. That's the underlying, right? Sam Bernstein, the family, the insurance, all that stuff in case. But you know what? Little on the streets, boys. Little off the books, so to speak. You know, D-Mac's got your back.
Hey, anytime you're hanging out with the homeboys, you're going to have to talk about bail money. That's just how it goes, man.
That's it.
I mean,
You know,
I almost did fight a guy in LA, though. I mean, I did tell you guys that while we were on the fucking thing.
You were almost in need.
I mean, shout out to Santana Jackson. I appreciate you having my back, my dude, about the moonwalk and head kick a motherfucker in the head. Fuck around and find out. But LA was a good time.
Not the moonwalk head kick. Oh, it was serious, boys. You know that? Last time I heard that
Hit him with the
was
Jackson special.
2017.
If you put your hand anywhere near your nuts when you throw that kick, it's gonna be problem.
It's over. It's over.
I learned something new. I love it. All right.
And if he's only got one glove, it's even worse.
Yeah, the glove.
Man. But
yeah, dude, hit him with the glove.
I think loaded. Loaded glove.
You know, maybe if you'd have brought a loaded hockey glove, man, you know, to Impact Wrestling, you would have saved yourself from that table. So, I mean, first of all, before we get to that, how in the hell were you just sitting there trying to have a good time? Because, man, it went from, hey, Darren McCarty's at Impact to, hey, Bully Ray's trying to put him through a damn table. So what the hell has been going on in your neck of the woods, man?
Well, again, as I always preface, right? Find myself not in my element again, and things happen, but I'm big enough and have broad enough shoulders. Is that, you know what? Going through the table is not the worst thing that happened. You've seen me get skewered before. You've seen me get gusset
This
plated.
is true.
I'm not the
The
brightest
pictures can be
human
found
being.
at KO3C Pod.
That's absolutely. So Robin's racing. The biggest part of that, if you watched it and what we're talking about a Slammiversary over in my homeland, it was shot in
Canada.
In Windsor, across the border. But I was sitting there with my boy watching, and here's the hardest part of all the situation. He steals my buddy's beer and he throws it at me. Now, we all know I don't drink anymore. I thought he was like, hey, D-Mac, you look thirsty. You're enjoying this match. But then he pie-faced me, bro. And then it was like, I was sitting there going, did that just really happen? And I guess the 15-year-old, 20-year-old me from ECW, but it was like, okay, I guess that's cool, but isn't it? And then, the way Bubba, come on, Tommy Dreamer I'm talking to right now. Every time you got Bubba, and then he always plays that card, and you always get the nut shot. We're going to have to stop that. Anyways, I digress.
Cups, boys, cups!
How many people wanted to get their hands in their life, and I'm talking fans, anything, to be able to touch Bully Ray, Bubba Ray Dudley? So sometimes we got to sacrifice, right? Grind liner, right? I mean, I'm willing to go through a table. That's what happened. But I didn't think he'd have the balls to let me in the ring. So I got some shots in. And if it wasn't for those good hands, but we saw what happened to them the next day. But I'll get my hands on Bully Ray. Don't you worry. Because this is a long game. Just like the cannabis. Just like anything else. Oh, I can wait, baby. I can wait. Don't you worry. And I'm coming back. I even did my hair for him. So, you know what? My bad. But again, I mean, look at how many people. Trish Stratus has been put through a table by the same guy. That's pretty cool, right?
Legend.
Look at how many guys have been put through the table. So I just put it on my sick, twisted bucket list and go, thank you, Bully. But now, Tommy got to get revenge. So just grateful to be able to be a part. And the long story short, right? You guys know as much as anybody else because you're there too. I love this shit. I'm there. Whatever, independence, all this, and to the impacts, and we got AEW coming, we got SummerSlam coming, which hopefully Cody gets the belt then. But I digress.
That'd be a hell of a thing to be at, huh?
I know. So much to talk about. But I love wrestling like anybody else. Like that, it's to me, it's so much when I look back what I've been through of a constant in my life, in and out at different times. But right now, I'm having a blast. It's motivated me to actually get in shape and take care of myself a little bit more so than what I do, because I love and respect this business so much, and to be able to, like, when I went to I'll take you behind the scene. My buddy Nick and I are driving over. Shout out to my boy Rake. See him around all the time. And he says to me, I said to him, well, I'm going to walk in there and just go, hey, do I mark out now? Can I get pictures with everybody? Do I do this right now? Do I wait? When is it proper to be Mark Jobber? Because these are all the guys I grew up watching.
Right.
Especially in Impact. And this is even on the independent scene.
What up, Donald?
In the independent scene and everything else, right? Like I love it as much as you guys do, and my love isn't not greater. It's different, but I love the passion that everybody has, and to be able to not only talk but to be involved in whatever way. My big way to be involved, as everybody knows, is Darren McCarty brand cannabis. and I love wrestling so much that I want everybody to know that they have the option, the CBD roll-ons, the sleep, all this different stuff. So that's my motivation of how I think I can help. And along the way, if somebody wants to put me through a table or guess at me, then if it's part of a great story, I'm all in. All in.
Hell yeah. I think you kind of touched on something there. I mean, strip it all down, wrestling wise, just strip everything away here. You're in the ring as somebody who loves professional wrestling. You're in the ring with perhaps the greatest ECW icon of all time, Tommy Dreamer, as a tag team partner. And then, I don't care what anybody says, the greatest tag team champion of all time, period, Bully Ray Dudley. That is such a big impact on I'm sure not only just your life, but people that are fans of you are watching this. And it's such a callback to guys like us, childhood wise. It's like you said, you know how many times I just wanted to reach that screen and say, damn it, I hate you, Bully Ray.
Well,
but you're the best heel around, dude. You're the best heel of all time. Like, that's got to speak volumes to what you do and your love for wrestling, as you said.
J-Bone, I'm glad you get that, because you nail it exactly on the head, right? Everybody knows me, dude. Like, hey, my moveset's stone cold. I'm working on a couple new ones, but and we're figuring out. That's the whole thing, is you're gonna see me in there. You're gonna see me throw punches that shout out to PCO. Shout out to PCO, giving me some tips in the back before going out, or just like, because I'm always wanting to learn, man. I always want to learn and see what these guys do. I don't need to be doing the flippity flop stuff, but I enjoy watching. I mean, watching Mike Bailey, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Jonathan Gresham go through, like, just wrestle and do all that stuff, to watching the machine guns that we've been watching and all the throwback. J-Bone, to your point, Stone Cold, my number one, right? But two of my other top 5 wrestlers of all time are Tommy Dreamer, who I'm grateful to call a friend, and as the greatest dude as ever, and also Bubba, Bully Ray, same as you. Hate this guy, but appreciate who he is, and then to be able to be a part, of the stuff. Like when I watch the replays of the clips or whatever, when I hit Skyler, the good hands with the stunner, and I see Bully Ray coming out with his hands on his head, like what just happened, and I see Tommy Dreamer celebrate and give me a hug, bro. I sit here and watch that. I'll watch that way more times than I'll ever watch any of my goals or any of my fights or anything like that. I'll have that on when I want to go, like, just to say, because that's real. And then I want to share with you guys is that, look at, I manifest reality of what I want to do, because I won't be denied. And that's the people that I respect and surround, like you guys who are I'm here to answer questions or fight, right? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? How do you do it? Follow your passion. When you guys tell me, that takes you guys back, and it brings that childhood back to the 90s, to the early 2000s, to when D-Mac was on the ice, and they get it. I get it. The story to be able to be told, because everything's sort of cyclical. Because now the 5-10-year-old's 30, 35, 40, right? It's everything. It goes in. So to your point, to tie it up, J-Bone, that Impact stuff was as much around March 26th to whatever, to the culture at the time of year, to remind all you guys who are now 25, 26 years later, ECW to whatever it was, 20 years, 25 years, right? We're still there. That's what wrestling has a beauty. You just if you watch the AEW stuff, they just did the Dusty Rhodes tribute and going back, and him and Flair and all the different stuff, and then watching Undertaker, Randy Orton. That's all the stuff, man, that we live in at different parts. But now life's different. Responsibilities are different. But wrestling's not. Right. Wrestling really isn't. That takes you back to that kid, man. That's the greatest. And I know that you guys get it. I know that the people that love wrestling as much as I love wrestling get it. And so, the biggest thing for me is, no matter what I do, because I do so many different things that not in my lane, right? But you got to be able to do it well enough to show the respect back to whatever it is you're doing. For me, it's whether it's the music, the comedy, the wrestling, whatever it is.
Well, speaking of a throwback like that, that kind of goes into another question I had for you. So I know you were a big ECW guy. Tell me what it was like for you, getting to team with the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer, like you said, to get to call him a friend, but not only a friend, you were in the ring with him, and then you were more hottest young stars out of Japan as well.
Just to be, the whole process, and you guys know what it's like to be around and just, to that when you hear Tommy Dreamer say, I don't do anything but wrestling. I eat, drink, sleep wrestling. I fall asleep at night watching wrestling after I've watched whatever wrestling's on, right? And understand it. It's about telling the stories, loving the stories, and being part of the stories. I mean, I got a hot tag from Tommy Dreamer, right? Bully Ray, I got to square off, hit him the one night, which ended up in the table, and then square off, and he telltale knew what was better for him because he didn't really want to. Because after PCO told me how I could really lay it into butt, he heard in the back, and I don't think he wanted one of these because he knew that if I learned how to throw it, he'd be in trouble, right? But with Tommy and stuff like that, it's just everything around it. The whole process, everybody in the back. I'll tell you one of the biggest poppers, shout out to this guy. You know who I was hanging with that just talked to a lot of the time? Sign guy, Louis Dangle. Let's go, baby. Let's go. So, right? Like that was like if you know who that is, and the guys behind the scenes and all the intricacies. So just the whole part, I couldn't have asked for a greater experience, like yeah, and like you said, Yuya, to be able to, dude, I was in a 6-man tag. What do you with two of the greatest guys and favorites of my generation. It was as awesome as I could ever expect, and I'm grateful for it. What's up, Donnie?
Yeah,
I saw Donnie Holland pop up there. That's my guy.
And then we got Big Kaz in here, Pro Wrestling Edge.
Vendetta.
Hell yeah.
Ooh,
shout out to Tommy
Canadian
Vendetta. We're going to talk.
You said do a Canadian Destroyer. Let's go, man.
They said they want to see D-Mac do a Canadian Destroyer.
Wow, did you see Scott Demore's on Hotch there? That one was sick. Great sell by Hotch too.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I don't think I could jump that high. Although from what I've heard is that if you don't do the Canadian Destroyer right, it's not my fault, it's your fault. As far as the guy who's supposed to reverse it. So, and isn't the Canadian? Wait, hold on. Let me get into the. I would, but it's just used so much. And back in the day when Amazing Red and Petey Williams, when they used it, it was a finisher. Now it's just a caveat in the match. So I don't want to be part of that wrestling. How was that?
Yeah, there you go. It sounds very.
I couldn't do it. That's high risk. No, you won't see
I
that.
feel you.
Never say never, though.
You want to go too high risk. Got to keep it calculated.
Thank you, Jay.
Watch, you say that, and then the next time you see Tommy, he's going to be trying to get to teach you how to do a Canadian Destroyer.
I'll tell
everybody
you never know then. You never know. I mean, to help that kid reach the top of the deathmatch world, I'll pretty much do anything.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
That's
Speaking of all that, hell yeah, you're not kidding. We're gonna have to get to all of that. Also, before we get to WrestleMania week and all those good things, because you were doing yours in New Jersey while I was over there in LA. Shout out to our sponsors, G3 Payroll and Tax. If you guys haven't gotten your taxes done yet, which I know all of you haven't because I have to sling the mail every day, make sure you check out G3 Payroll and Tax.
You're such a rat.
I'm just saying, I know it for a fact. So I'm just trying to get the sponsors some business. See, that's what they pay me for, is to try to get them business. I mean, I know you haven't done your taxes yet, so here you go. I'm trying to help you out. Hit up G3 Payroll and Tax, and they'll get you together.
I love it, dude. Absolutely. Every tax company should be with a mailman to know, hey, bro, did they nope, I haven't checked it today. It's absolutely. I
drove past the tax place earlier and they had a sign out there like 9 days left, and it was one of those like little rotating mannequins, and I'm like, anybody that's waiting this long you guys are some damn savages. If you're waiting within 10 days You guys are really
I mean,
pushing that
like I
limit.
said, it's just funny because it's like I said, I'm not telling nobody's business out there, but I mean, literally, you know when it's close to tax time because man, people are sending theirs out till the day of. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's it's a good thing. When is
Like you
Pat
said,
McAfee
it's a
doing?
G3 right now. Nobody needs to know. Absolutely. Get your taxes done.
Hell yeah. When is Pat McAfee doing his show in Detroit? I have no idea.
Good question. No idea.
I heard he's coming.
I have no idea on that one. If he does,
Well,
I
he
definitely am
made-
down
and
to go check that out.
What's referencing to obviously the Pat McAfee show is because there was a bet made. I do woodwardsports.com. I do the Big D Energy Show 11 to 1 every day. And one of the guys at our stick at our network had made a bet with Pat McAfee over the last Green Bay Packers game that if Green Bay won, he'd wear Aaron Rodgers jersey, stick would for 365 straight days. And if Detroit won, Pat McAfee would come to Detroit and do his show. So still waiting on logistics. Obviously, I would speculate. I think that would be cool. Would be around WrestleMania or SummerSlam. You'd expect them to be in town around then. So stay tuned. WoodwardSports.com with any updates, but inquire there. So we'll see. But there you go. Another angle, another guy that you guys need to know.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Patty Mac, when you come to Detroit, you got to come mess with your boys' knockouts and 3 counts. And I want to see you pay up on that bet to D-Mac. I feel like that'd be some dope shit to be at. So, yeah, pay up on your bet.
All in due time.
Dudes, I mean, you've got everything coming to the city, bro. And now we were talking about before we went live, SummerSlam and all that stuff is going to be coming up here soon. We all just are coming off WrestleMania week. Like I said, I was in LA, you were in New Jersey. Tell me about your WrestleMania week. What were some of your standouts? What did you check out? What was going down there in New Jersey? And shout out to Hoodfoot and MM3, who I got to see go to war with our homies Circle 6 and then go right to New Jersey to finish out WrestleMania week with D-Mac and everybody over there. So
yeah, shout out.
Whoops.
There he goes. We're good.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike and everybody, Circle 6. I love Jay Chris and I love the promotion and they do it well. You mentioned MM3, who's another one of the Michigan pillars and stuff like this. My nephew, to the fact that we were out in New Jersey for Death Right weekend for ICW and RPW. You got to see Hoodfoot and Malcolm out west. I got to see Hoodfoot defeat Brandon Kirk on Saturday for the hardcore deathmatch wrestling championship, which was an awesome match. We started Friday. My boy Tommy Vendetta fought one of the toughest humans, let alone women, in Randy West. They had a kicker. Me and Schwartzy were there ringside. We were indulging in cannabis as we watched his wife and my son beat the living crap out of each other. Tommy snuck a victory out of that one, which was cool because he's got some momentum. The next night he fought John Wayne Murdoch. I ended up Murdoch
to the show.
What's that?
I said fellow past guest to the show.
Love the Duke, but the Duke decided that he would come out dressed in hockey gear, and he wanted a piece of me. So we all know that the Duke, who's known as the Rabbit King, loves his rabbits. Comes out with somebody dressed in a rabbit suit. Well, unfortunately, that person might have run into a door accidentally in the back, and D-Mac put on the rabbit suit and ended up giving John Wayne the business. Tommy can't beat John Wayne Murdoch. He's like 0-3 or 0-4 now because of it. Thought we'd give him a little bit of insight early. It was my birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday,
And
sir.
so Duke didn't like it. I ended up eating a couple tubes and whatever. Ended up putting him through a door. Da 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 da. Took a big spill out on the side. Couldn't help Tommy win that. So back to square one. But a shout out to Mickey Knuckles and Jeff Cannonball. I got lap dances, buddy, on my birthday. Yeah. And then the best part.
They were already asking about that in the comments.
Absolutely. Jeff Cannonball, listen, that rate goes up, baby. I mean, listen, can my man not shake it or what? And I love Mickey Knuckles. Just what she's meant and done in this business and how tough she is. So yeah, exactly. So and then the best part, if you saw the show and it was surprising after Tommy's match, everybody sang me happy birthday, and that really meant something, not only the crowd there, but it felt like everybody was watching and just to be a part of it. Like I said, as much to, we were talking about Impact, but this, ICW and RPW and all these death match guys and girls, that's my tribe, my extended family, so it was great to see. And then Sunday, Tommy and Danny Darko from England had a banger, bro. And so Tommy was great to squeak that out, which was huge because we're heading over to England to fight over there at the end of May. And I know that Clint Margera and Danny Darko and what are be waiting to go feast on Tommy, and he's ready for the challenge. So we're heading across the pond, getting to England, gets us closer to getting to Japan. So I'm just living the dream, loving it. Another great part of the weekend was that 2 of the 3 shows, the Sunday show, which was RPW, which was an awesome show too, but was done at the H2O Center. So Matt Tremont, shout out to him, just experience. And I probably seen 4 or 5 of his matches live in the past year or so, and as far as like just to watch the way that he works the room in a crowd, that old school way, to me it reminds me of watching, and even watching I mentioned the A&E documentary, Dusty Rhodes. Matt Tremont sort of has that
awesome.
Dusty Rhodes. He has that Dusty Rhodes death match. To me, that's who in my generation to watch around now, to see what he's done is Matt Tremont. So him and his wife Chrissy, and the hospitality and the way that they, all the new people and I had never been to that facility. So to get to be there and to watch and, got to, dude. Dr. Red acted and Matt Tremont live.
Oh.
The noises, the chairs, and all the punches and that were making throughout the building. It was just that was a fight, man, and that was awesome to see. So, I had a great birthday weekend. So I can't thank everybody, everybody enough that was a part of it. I got a bunch of birthday cakes, and we had a whole bunch of cupcakes, and like I said, I got lap dances from Mickey Knuckles and Jeff Cannonball. So you know what? How's your birthday?
D-Mac's birthday wins all on that one, dude. And shout out to the Duke and Tommy and everybody over there. Man, you and Tommy have become like the damn, like you're his real road dog, man. You going across the pond now and everything, dude. Tommy is Tommy's making his name, man.
People don't understand the truth to more of not is that, Tommy Vendetta, the lovable psychopath, and why is he lovable psychopath? Because allegedly, maybe, that I am, he is the seed of Darren McCarty. And the story, and I can't talk about it enough. Like, I can't talk about it a lot, but I'll let what my lawyers have let me into this, because everybody discovered things over COVID and stuff like that. Well, this kid showed up at my door with these papers from like 23andMe going, "Hey, dude, like, I think you're my dad." And, here we are, like 4 years later. So still working through the court stuff. You know how that goes. We can't say much about it, but we're working through But I mean, right now, I mean, whether it is or it isn't, it might as well be. So here we go.
So
What would you do as a dad for your
so
kid?
you're saying you're just a
Kid
father
wants to
out
follow back. Who am I? Listen,
a
who am
father
I
out
to
here
throw
trying
you
to
want to go get
support his
smashed with my
son's
teams and put 3
dreams.
tables? Who am I to argue as your father?
Just embrace it as the kid. He's the next big star, man. So just he's gonna take care of you later. So you gotta just let him progress now. So
J-Bone,
right.
you know what? Brains behind the organization, because you know what? As I'm sitting there, minding my own business, like I was, where my seat wants to be is in the front row. Like I wasn't, but watching him wherever he goes. I'm along for the ride. It's like, and in all honesty, it's like I tell Malcolm, it's like I tell Tom, it's like I tell all the young guys is your passion and what you put in for it. I've been there. This ain't about my dream. It's about watching you guys and put the work in and achieve your dreams. And I mean, it's like front row seat, dude. It's like metaverse. It's like the Oculus ringside or whatever like that.
Yeah,
That's what it is. It's
but it's
real
getting
life.
closer.
So I'm having as much fun watching these guys throw bangers. You mentioned, Malcolm and Hoodfoot, and I mean, Malcolm fought Neil Diamond Cutter, and this trade, like just banger upon banger upon banger with guys that, and the best part about Michigan and these indie scenes and these guys who are getting out. Right, and then right now we're talking the individual and more in the death match traveling around but they're representing hard. So
Yeah.
that's it's beautiful to see. And you're right, J Bone. Along for the ride, baby. I just I want to get stuck in catering. That's my goal. Because where's DMAC? He's in catering.
Yeah, it's
Because
not a bad
I'm
place
there.
to be. Not a bad place
Yeah.
to be at all.
No, you get it.
Not a bad place.
Especially if you got the munchies, man. Shout out to the sponsors, Michigan's finest.
Michigan finest. Good segue.
See, this is why, if you got a business that you'd like promoted, come on and check out Knockouts and Three Counts. But that being said, dude, we also had another pretty big fucking show that went down that weekend as well. But before we get to that, you said something when you were talking about when we segued from Impact. I know you're a fan just like us, so I have to ask, since we got into the whole conversation of the Canadian Destroyer thing, what's your favorite Impact moments? Because I know you watch TNA as well. So
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
do you have any favorite stuff from him?
Well, you know what? Like, I'm. This is what I love, and there's so many different, like right now, like the intriguing stuff is, and I brought it up earlier, like PCO, right? PCO, like this is one of the sheep herders. Like this is one of the guys, the Rougeos and stuff, like the longevity in his 60s, still doing it, still doing the Canadian Frankenstein and stuff like this. Yeah, things, the entertainment. What Impact has done so well, and they continue to do, is what ECW used to do, whatever like that. Not only moments and stuff to bring you up in the orchestra in a match, but also long-term storytelling. Long-term storytelling. One of my favorite out of the past year and stuff like this is the females. And they do such a good job, but like Deonna Purrazzo is one of my favorites. Just the virtuoso, the way that I know that I'm good. And then when she wrestles, I just love her finisher. I love that it's so believable, the character, you know what I'm saying, as the badass. Then you bring in like Mash Islamovich, who I see all over the place. You see it like she's the busiest person that it is, but in different connotations, the believability, right? The thing that I always loved, I go back to loving, the Impact, TNA Impact days with Samoa Joe and AJ Styles and, all those stuff, the way the rings were different. It just seemed that was different. The biggest thing that I love, and not anything specific, but it's just like the stories. You can get into it and whatever, and they have that long-term storytelling, right? So, um, of all time, like of Impact, like I thought like I said, the AJ Styles Samoa Joe back in the was it 14, 15-ish. Is that if I'm right? Those the way that they told the stories and kept it back then, you could see what they are now. But they're consistent to the stories that they've always told. Does that make sense? They don't jump around, and you don't see a match just for being a match, or you don't see it. How often do you see it where like if and this is just goes to show you the business, and when you look behind it, this is because if you look at how long in the wrestling business has everybody been. They've been through the wars, they've been through things, they know what they've done right or wrong. But when you miss an episode or you miss somebody in a show, you don't forget them. In WWE and AEW or whatever, if you're not there, then the storyline sort of goes away. How many times have we seen that?
Right.
I mean, which, by the way, as it just came to my mind, where the fuck's Miro? Hello, can I have Miro back, please? Anybody send him somewhere?
Disappeared.
Somewhere,
Hello?
anywhere, bro.
God's
That's
favorite.
the
Off
guy that
into the
needs to
wind.
be on.
God's favorite
I
was
would love
also
to see
D-Mac's favorite, so one of D-Mac's favorite. Like for believability, right? Like, and I think we can all agree with the guy that could be a wrestler and a UFC fighter or whatever like that. So I know I'm sidetracked to that, but so to answer your question, Kyle, the thing is, that's what I love the most about Impact is that I can pick, and it's like a soap opera too, right? I don't have to follow it along, but I can go back, and if I miss a month, I can go back and they fill me in. Then I'm boom. It's not like, oh, you can go back and catch up real quick. Oh, okay, that's why Macklin's. Oh, Alexander's out. Okay, they went this route. Okay. Oh, yeah, I knew they were going to be a heel. Like 2 months ago, I could see it. I could see, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the long-term soap opera. So there's so much great, like I said it before. You'll have to ask me, hey, what are you watching? And you have to before me have to look and say, or to know who's in the match to say it's right WWE, AW, Impact, whatever, because if I'm not entertained, I don't care. I will turn it off.
Right.
Or turn it on. Same thing.
I respect it, dude. So with that being, go ahead, Corey.
I was gonna say, I know Jordan all the time. That's one thing he harps about with the wrestling side, because I ask from an outsider's perspective all the time, being the more MMA side, what makes something special on the wrestling side for you guys? What in particular is the things that stand out? And that's one thing he always harps upon very heavy is the storytelling. That's the number one thing that makes wrestling what it is. And if you don't have the storytelling, it really has to be the lead into it. You can have the great matches all you want, but you're not going to get the eyes or the attention that those matches even deserve if there isn't any story that leads into it.
So Corey, there it is, which is the answer to why does UFC and why does WWE merge? Because what has UFC done better than anybody through the last as they've exploded? It's got you right. It's got you dialed into these athletes, these fighters, as who they are as people. Right? Whether we're talking about the Conor McGregors to the Habibs to the, fighting each other, but how personal it is. That's the realness of it is when you got two guys MFing each other in their faces, they're feeling it. Right? A lot of times in wrestling, well, it's an act, but a lot of times when you can blur that line and I don't know, that's what makes the best. Right? There's no, and the difference between UFC is like if a guy's pissed, he's pissed. Right? They're like, you know what I'm saying? There's no going to the back going, hey, bro, we got it. We sold some tickets and stuff like this. Maybe there is a little bit, but you know what? When a guy wants to, knock a guy out and in front of his whole family and let him feel it, that's you feel that, right? So that's
when there's
that's
somebody
the thing.
when somebody does make that apology, like you're saying in MMA, it's usually the losing side as they're kind of walking away with their head tucked. They're like, I was just saying all that shit just because,
Business,
we had to
baby.
sell some fights, it wasn't nothing personal. And it's always in that regard. It's never the guy that won the fight and is all happy and arms raised in the corner. Because to your point, in MMA, they do feel that shit. You not every fight is taken as personal. Sometimes you get the guys like McGregor and stuff like that every fight seems to be that way. But more often than not, in MMA, it's a competition. It's viewed as such, and if you that's it's a two-sided coin because I love the sport aspect of it. I'm sure you can understand as a competitor, besides the wrestling aspect of it, that there's sport and you want to see the best guys like the Bilal Muhammad's of the world that deserve a title shot but aren't maybe the fan favorite get into that spot. But yet there's also the we got to sell some tickets, put asses in seats, and that's where you see the likes of a Colby Covington slide into those spots. And I just feel like the transition into how you say you got to spice it up to make and it's entertainment at the end of the day. It's still entertainment. It is sport, but it's also entertainment. And I think that's
Corey, it's awesome that you mentioned that, like with the storytelling thing. I think that's what's so special about professional wrestling. It's like you can have, like you said, you can have a 5-star match out there, but in 10, 20, 30 years, we're still going to remember the finish. That's it. But you can go back and have a decent match. Look at guys like Bret and Owen Hart, Bret and Yokozuna, Austin and Rock, Austin and Bret Hart. Like, you don't have to have the greatest matches. Not saying those weren't bad matches, but the story is what sticks there.
Austin Bret Hart was awesome.
10, 20, 30 years, we're going to remember how it started, and we're going to remember where it finished because we're intrigued by that. And I think that's what's so special with professional wrestling.
And and with wrestling fans, you guys really, I don't want to say appreciate it more because I don't want to like shit on MMA fans as a whole in that way. I feel like there is a lot of us that still go back and view like the later cards and stuff.
But it's the real, Corey. Don't worry about it. It's because it's
UFC
real. You know what? Hey,
no, what?
Listen, reality TV versus a movie. What do you like? We watch it both. I know everybody watches it both. I watch Oak Island. Oak Island is UFC. It's reality TV. It's real, right? The WWE, that's somebody made it up. It's a movie. When you understand, it's supposed to be stories. They're called my stories for a reason, right? Do you not? I don't get it. I don't just eat like chocolate ice cream. I like vanilla. I like strawberry. I like why can't you like so many different things? And I think it's just the fact that people don't understand or are preconditioned to what it is. Go follow the story. Forget the fights. Just don't just watch everything wrestling except a match. And see if you're intrigued. Yeah, you want to see this guy get his hands on this guy. Or is he gonna? Or then he scurries away and you're gonna tune in next week. Gives a shit if it's real or not. When he gets his hands on him, you know that feeling that he's run down. Could be a cartoon. Might as well turn wrestling into cartoons then. That's cool. But it's your favorite cartoons. In wrestling, right? The coyote gets the road runner at times. Not every episode, but eventually he's going to get him. And I think that payoff is cool. But I love the fact that you're willing to encompass all of it. And it shouldn't be a competition because it's not the same stratosphere.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. But what I was going to say is, as a wrestling fan base, I feel like you guys genuinely just appreciate the history, like you said, the storylines and stuff so much more. It seems like when you guys like talk about the history of wrestling, you guys are always like, so and so had this ridiculous run in '96 or whatever, and so then came in and broke his record, his hot streak he had going on, and then next thing you know, he was the hot shit. It's like you guys really appreciate the stories that are laid in front of you a lot more than the casual MMA fan. I feel like the MMA side, I don't know if it's something to do with the fact that we're just kind of getting pushed all these cards every week, where you don't necessarily always get to learn all these guys' backstories and stuff like you were saying, because I feel like that's a huge aspect of it. It really is. But I feel like a lot of MMA fans, they're like, okay, what's next? Who's going to be the next big hot shit? They're not necessarily looking for what was and what built to where we are now, and why that's also so important for what makes the future what it is. Where I feel like with wrestling fans, it's the complete opposite. You guys always lean on so and so did this particular. They modeled their finish because they grew up watching so and so, and then they combined a move from both of them to make that their, like, you don't see that shit in fighting, like that's where I feel like that's what makes wrestling special.
Hey, one thing I think is going to help the UFC is whoever the WWE video package guy is, who makes all these like vignettes, promo videos. Let's start putting that in the UFC, man. Can you imagine that? That is going to get you hyped for a fight right there.
I 100% guarantee you just answered what Ari Emanuel, Vince McMahon, and whoever the money, which we're talking about, sitting around the table. How do we get that? And they go, how do we get that together? Because it was always apart, right? Dana White, UFC wanted nothing to do with WWE, but it's that investment. Because to your point, right? And I see it, like, how do you get invested in UFC fighters right now when there's a fight every night and there's this and there's that and it's this on the lot, right? Why can we do it in wrestling? What's the conversation we had before we went on the air about reps? Years and years and years and years of reps. We're conditioned, whether to our families or whatever, to know the names of Dick the Bruiser and friggin'
That's a solid
Dusty
point,
Rhodes and stuff like this. We're conditioned as a wrestling fan. If you want to be a wrestling fan, you learn certain ways. You don't. Yes, you turn it on and go, "Wow, man, that match was awesome." But who was that jumping around and stuff like this? But you want to be invested more, because when it's talked about, it's almost about the credibility is tenure and how long or what makes them do it or when did they get there, and very few, right? You see how in the dichotomy in the UFC, it's like that next greatest, the one punch away from being that next superstar to get on the radar, and then let's move and see who the next one is and collect them, because you're just starting. You're still at the infancy. This wrestling thing's been going on and the fan base is trained, like you said. It's more, UFC's more like the cannabis world, where you have puppies,
you gotta
so to
always
speak,
have that
allowed,
hot
but
shit.
you
Gotta
gotta,
always
how do you
have that
educate, right? Like, you know that if we just say, you don't know where. So like weight category, this guy fighting out of this. Why does it matter? This style, this. In wrestling, you can get yourself into it. And I think, J-Bone, absolutely. How is UFC going to get more of that production storyline backstory? Two, how is WWE going to get that fight? Like they say, what are they going to take from the UFC that they've been able to build this company to be so valuable? Like, we're talking the billion, like the money that's thrown around in the B's are big B numbers. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? Usually when you hear, 1 or 2 billion, I get it. We're talking like, what, 9 billion is what the WWE is valued at, and then what, 12 million or so is what the UFC, like, I mean, come on, man. That's where it's come from. So together, forever, united, family, whatever the hell he says. So
well, dude, and you bring up a great point just in what you said, because that's the thing with WrestleMania at this point. In the last 10 years or so, it's really become a thing to where when they come to town, that's why all these cities are bidding so hard trying to get them there, because now it takes over the whole damn city for a week. And all of
your
the
hotels
people
are
it
filled,
brings
all your
in,
restaurants are filled, all your everything. You're filling up all the parking spots that take up, quarters. Every little thing that you could possibly think of that influxes money, it's all in there, like every little thing. So it really does, like, I remember one time I was really shitting on, and I still do, honestly, but I forget who it was. I think it might have been the Buffalo Bills, but either way, they were asking for their stadium to be built for free, basically from the taxpayer money, because of the fact that it generates so much money in return. And I was like, I was really, really skeptical of it, but it genuinely does, especially on a week by week basis during the season and stuff. It changes the whole economics of a town will change just based upon whether or not a event's held there for a couple weeks. And something like WrestleMania, to come in there and really liven town up for a week, possibly even two, really, it's a big thing for these cities.
So they're gonna drop anchor now. Think of what Endeavor can do. They can drop anchor, and what I mean by dropping anchor is that Kyle mentioned it earlier. They just made it from one day to two, so they've taken the gate and made it. Oh, let's double up, boom, boom, the two timer, right? But everything else. So why isn't there a UFC heavyweight fight on the Friday, the WrestleMania on the Saturday? You know what I'm saying? Like it's all built in.
We're gonna see that
say.
real soon, though. They're gonna start doing. You're gonna notice little small things like
explain the why of how it's all
video.
Tied
you're gonna have a big UFC fight the same weekend as WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and it might even be.
That's what I was thinking. They need to do that. That's what we need to see. Like if Dana and them were smart, there'd be a fight somewhere in WrestleMania weekend.
Hit the cycle, man. That would be wild. Show Friday, UFC on Saturday, major WWE event on Sunday. Like we can make it happen. And it's only good for
like they're doing for the Metallica concert that's coming here. So you have night one of WrestleMania on Friday, and then have the UFC fight on Saturday, and then have night two of WrestleMania on Sunday. So you split it up a little bit, get you all that shit in one fucking weekend, dude. There you go.
Wild.
Knockouts and 3 counts made you guys $10 billion more. So
I got it.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. Or I'd hate to tell you guys that in the B world, right? The fact that they're throwing these numbers around, all of this that we just had this conversation was put in that nice little price tag of what we can do. What is the one thing we're talking about Ari Emanuel, right? There everybody knows is the real life person that Ari Gold from Entourage. He's been played. He took over the agency business in Hollywood. He pretty much owns, everybody who works on comes through him, right? Understand that with you. What is the one thing that these guys love more than anything else, and they proved, is to make money. They know how to
make money and
what is Vince
acquire
do?
acquire
roll the machine. How to make the machine roll bigger. So when they come into town, and this ain't a bad thing, because at the end of the day, it's for the consumer, right? And wouldn't it be nice when they drop this event into Detroit and you get your appetizer and you're full of it. Like you said, the Friday, there's a wrestling event on the Friday, the big UFC fights on the Saturday with everything that you can do within it. The hotels are full to this, to everything else. You have people in the city. Yeah. And you do that and you rinse and repeat 52 weeks a year. Okay, maybe not 48 weeks a year.
That's a lot of money paid right there.
A lot.
That's wild. That would be truly wild if they went that route.
But then the price tag makes sense. Then it's a deal for them. That's how. Do you understand? Then they're fighting together instead of apart, which we never see, right? What was always what did Corey just said? And Corey, you're in that corner. That's why I'm saying is the fact is that the series maybe now there's more of an understanding for each other. If you care for it, like if you're one of the ones for the UFC, like you're trying to understand the wrestling mind. Well, there has to be, because if the bosses at the top figure out there's a joint for the dollar, then maybe there's a way you can explain what you see that the WWE has added for your enjoyment in your UFC. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm very curious what they'll end up implementing, if anything, right away within the first month or two, as in right away, or if it does end up taking throughout a couple months to kind of pick anything that they want to work with. Like you say, the production and stuff, they could really learn some things there, graphics wise. Some of the big like projections and stuff that they do, those are really cool.
Dana's already come out and Dana's already come out and hyped that up too.
Yeah,
Like
real
he
quick,
already
though,
said, like that's the cool thing about them connecting. Go ahead.
I think the craziest thing, and I brought it up when the initial merger thing was even talked about on the show, is the TV rights deal. The fact that that's going to be up in, I believe, a year and a half, 2 years, something like that, maybe even a year. With them both being now under the same ownership umbrella, however you want to explain it, they're basically working in cahoots, however you want to explain it. And for them to both be running up on TV rights deals at the same time, and then to be these multi-billion-dollar entities that are looking for somewhere that they can bring a large amount of viewership all at once, man, I think that's going to really shake up the landscape here in another year and a half, 2 years.
Got the whole world in their hands, man. They really do. They really do.
Except for Bray Wyatt, but that'll be maybe to be continued.
I thought you'd catch that.
You can't get much past me. There's a reason why I'm the one that's flapping my mouth so much on this bitch. Or maybe it's just because I got the microphone, but who cares? Dude, you know, we've talked about it. I gotta ask. So I know you watched everything. I heard you on Busted Open. First of all, shout out to Busted Open. I was sitting next to Ryan McKinnell for night 2 of WrestleMania. Shout out to him and Dave LaGreca, both past guests of the show, and I think Ryan will be on here again soon. What was your favorite stuff of Mania, bro? Like, I mean, I know you were watching it. What was your favorite stuff of Mania?
I didn't watch night 1 live, night 2 that I did, because the show it was perfect. RPW got over and we all had pizza and watched the rest of it in the back.
What up, though, Chris?
I got to watch WrestleMania night 2 with Matt Tremont, so that was pretty sweet. What did I think? Favorite match, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte, just another level to remember when Rhea got called up and she took Charlotte to the limit where we all I was amongst them that said, wow, they could have put the belt on her there. And that was still 2 years ago or whatever. And look at where she's come now. I mean, and God bless. I mean, Charlotte Flair is one of, if not like as far as wrestler or whatever, but she's tough. Face plant or whatever, and just like in those moments, and it's glamorous and everything else, is that like, and just love the queen. Think she's like absolutely. But those two, Rhea Ripley, those two, obviously the Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Gunther banger brawl, whatever you want to call it, just was everything you thought it'd be. I mean, how did that sound in the building? Like,
dude, we were all yelling because from the finishes to the shots, like, dude, every time they got to the 10 beats of the Bowron, like, dude, I was like, if you go on at KO3C Pod, you can see what my view looked like. I mean, dude, all I know is every time those guys get in a match, meaning Gunther and Sheamus particularly, and Drew is not too shabby himself, I'm always afraid somebody's like nipple's gonna like come flying at me or something. The way these dudes be beating the shit out of each other's chests, like Jesus Christ! Like, man, even sitting where I was, you could still hear the thud off of these people's chests, and then their chests look like hamburger meat. So I mean,
dude, that like the only what was the Walter Dragunov slap back in the day, like that was, but this was like. Everything it lived up to. Or
PCO and Walter.
Oh, God. Yeah. If you like that sort of stuff, that'd be Corey. I'd introduce Corey.
I'd beat you to it, Don.
Right here, the Corey, it's like for the UFC guys to introduce them to some of those exchanges, because there's no fake about that. Yeah. Right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I have an appreciation of the physicality. Happy for KO and Sammy, and you know what? I think I told you, Kyle, we talked all along. I thought Roman was gonna win, was gonna go over. I liked how they used the interference and the false finish, and fighting from behind and whatever like this. But again, you either believe the fact it wasn't Cody's time. I think I mentioned I was more of the belief is that, it might be SummerSlam, might be his time. But again, maybe not till next WrestleMania. Who knows?
That's what
I
keeps
just
us
like
there.
the more that I hear Triple A's in charge, or Triple H is in charge, right? And Vince is gonna set a hierarchy and the creative aspect of it, then I have faith that it'll be
John's
done
coming in hot.
right. Oh, do you set down the Roman Reigns shit? Nah, it's because what would Dusty do? I agree with Bully. What would Dusty have done?
Same.
Well, because at the end of the day, if you go back to right,
Do you
and
think
what would Dusty do
SummerSlam
in the
makes as
wrestling
big
world
of a
is what
moment,
would
though?
Jesus do in your life? What?
I said, so do you think if say they do it at SummerSlam here in Detroit, which would be dope, but if they do it here in Detroit, do you think it still has as big of an impact because it's not at WrestleMania now?
Yeah, but here's the whole thing: you're putting a belt on a Rhodes for the first time in the company. I don't care where it is. The fact that I believe in that you want everybody to do it. Don't do it when you want everybody to do it. The stories will play out and say, look at my question back to you, because obviously does Cody Rhodes becoming the champion after fighting through a Brock Lesnar, after fighting through whatever roadblocks to whatever to get to finally there mean more? Yeah. Yeah.
My whole
Other than God,
thought is I
when the
think they're
belt
still trying to
comes,
build him.
when the belt, yes. Remember, he'd been out from the injury and stuff, like all this stuff. So it's just let it have time.
Yeah.
I get it. I would have been happy if they would have put the belt on and seen the direction. But listen, if you watch the AEW documentary thing on Dusty, the roads are meant to chase, baby. The roads are meant to chase, because then when they get it, it's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be so sweet. This the son of a plumber. This the son of a plumber. Just a son of a plumber. Working man,
recognizable athlete in the world, Dusty Rhodes, American Dream, baby. Yeah, I appreciate it.
That goes right back to what we're talking about, those stories, man. Because like we said last week, if Cody would have won that, the story's over.
Well, I don't think it's over, but you're not into because here's going to be the greatest story, and you're not there yet. And Triple H alluded to it, right? The rise of Rome and the fall of Rome, and the bloodline. We're not to the fall yet, because that's where the supersede when the story of the roads rising up. The fall of the bloodline is going to be just as much fun as watching the rise of it. Right? Is it Solo? Is it Jay? Who's going to turn? How does it play out? Do they leave it so at the end of the day?
And don't forget Heyman, man. He's already planting the seeds, talking about Solo has to solve our problems.
But that's
so
what
problems
I'm saying.
being plural.
So let it play out, right? Where Paul's the master. Everything's again. Storytelling, storyline. If you trust who the author, do you like it? Are you reading? Whose books are you reading? Right? Like that's what I'm saying. Triple H's books, I love reading. Vince, I don't trust as much, and I think that's all with the. I'm like a lot of fans is just like, oh, okay. Vince obviously can be around. It can be whatever, but please let Hunter have the pen. And if Hunter has the pen, then Darren McCarty, I trust that we will get there, not when I want it, but when they want to give it to me. I'm going to get fed. Till then, I don't know what it is. Isn't that the fun of it, though? That's the fun of it. Is
the story. We're following the story. We're still following that trail to the next chapter. That, like we say it a million times, that's the beauty of professional wrestling. They keep us coming back for more. Now we want to see what's next. What's going to happen now? Love it.
It is.
Love it.
And that's the difference between UFC. Fight's over, it's usually done. Unless it's a rematch to whatever, and it only happens so often. This every week you get an update in our lines.
Yeah, you want to talk about a build to a rematch or a build in a storyline. That's a build, is when you got to fight 4 contenders to win your way back to fight for a championship against the same guy that's still reigning the whole time. That's when you're talking a story for sure.
Why AEW's not? Where do you think that? Like, let's look at some of the great stories. The 5, Jericho to fight or whoever to fight MJ, I've got to go through the 5 tests. You know what Danielson have to go through, fight all these guys just to get to me. I mean, it's the beauty. Here's the thing, Corey. There's nothing original in wrestling. It's all putting a spin on it and taking something here and greeting. Like, I don't think, maybe sometimes there's a new move that comes out and guys are creative. Well, they can be, the fact that now that they can run across the ropes and do flippies and like those are all new, and like the suicides and all the different stuff like that. But the storylines, it's already been written in life. I mean, like, it's life stories and people going, hey, but what if it went this way this time? And what if it went this way? Oh, and what if this person and that person? So it always goes back, but everything's there.
Now, one thing I want to get your quick thoughts on, and I've kind of brought it up to you guys, I think, already on the I wasn't sure if it was on the show or not. It might have been in person, but the fact that they're bringing betting into WWE, have you guys kind of seen anything on this? The fact that there's now gambling lines and stuff for these like big matches and the pay-per-views and stuff like that. I want to get your guys' thoughts. Does that murk the waters for you? Does it add an extra layer? Are we going to start seeing
either I'm going to win a lot of money or I'm going to be broke?
Hold on. Corey, we talked about this on Saturday, man. I like the dabble in the sports betting world. It's a lot of fun, but it makes me watch it different. And I don't want that to muddy the waters of my great art of professional wrestling. So when I start watching things differently, like, oh, I love this team. I've loved UFC.
That's a very good point.
Watch this guy rise. Oh man, I love this guy. And then what happens? He loses. So if I'm going to sit there and watch a guy get built up and then all of a sudden I want him to lose to put money in my pocket, I think I've lost touch with the love of the sport. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's killed me. No offense, Kyle, but it's killed me a couple of times. We'll be sitting there watching fights together and I'll like have one of my favorites fighting. And Kyle's like, yeah, man, but the other guy's got to win because my $20, man. And it's like Saturday. And it's like, I get it.
Hey, I'm trying to get out of the post office, motherfucker.
But like, dude's whole life right now is like riding potentially on like the outcome of this fight, and it's like, fuck your $20, Kyle. But also, I get it. I get it.
Dude, hold on a minute. In my defense, you can't sit here and act like I'm not in the same boat. Like, especially perfect segue with what we were talking on UFC this past weekend with Izzy. I said straight up that I thought Izzy won, even though that he wasn't in my parlay or whatever. You know what I mean? But like I said,
I know.
For me, it's just a little fun shit.
Yeah. I'm not actually shitting on you. I'm just saying, like, how, because we were the ones talking about it, me and Jordan, how it does. That's why I've yet to download any of the apps and stuff, is because I know I would see one of my favorite fighters taking on some guy, and I'm like, he's for sure going to win this. This ain't shit. And then I'm going to be upset about losing money, less so than I am, like, the outcome of, like, how that affects the, like, direction of this guy's career. So that's why I still haven't.
To me, UFC's like betting boxing fights to whatever like that. Your $20 should never matter to the dude, whether he wins or loses or whatever.
Yeah.
It should give you what Vegas thinks, or what the betting, where if you like the guy or you don't like the guy, where he's at. And wrestling wise, and to whatever, to do it, and from what I hear to the betting part, it's not live betting. It's not has to do with the finishers or whatever. But listen, you're a promoter. You can look at it to whatever. A lot of times you can see by the bets to see who people think would win. Yep. Do it like how you guys do a card and a wrestling card. If we're sitting around watching something, when something happens that shouldn't affect. I mean, you could bet wrestling to whatever, like, before the matches, if trying to figure out the card like a parlay or something like this, try to get all of them right. I don't understand it, but it doesn't change. To me, the betting odds is, where is the perception, right? What would the betting odds of Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes been?
It was there was odds out
Okay,
already
well,
for it.
what were they?
Cody was like a stupid favorite. I forget the exact number, but he was like minus 1,000 or something. He was like a very, very large favorite, like
So
incredibly
then I
large
look at
favorite.
that. So because that's the hope, and a lot of
Yeah.
times the betting line is the hopium, not to where's all the money go, right? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'd use it as the promoter to whatever, to also another weapon to be able to dangle along. There's no
Yeah.
way in hell Cody should ever be the favorite, right? Especially the WWE. If it was the AEW championship, well, he couldn't fight for the AEW championship, so he took that out
they
of his
got him
freaking
into a
grill in the
corner on
first
that.
week.
Right.
Which I love
It's
to hear him say. The thing that if he was smarter business wise to whatever, he would have never put that stipulation, which that's always growth. So, I guess the answer, Corey, wait and see. Ain't gonna change the way I watch wrestling.
Yeah.
Just might lead me into, because usually what happens in football, everything else, it's against what the public thinks. The other
Yeah.
side usually wins, right?
J Bone just totally swerved my opinion because, like I said, I was just talking shit with wrestling betting because I'm always the one saying that I don't really like to know like all the spoilers and all the bullshit. I feel like if I got too into the betting, it wouldn't be the same. MMA, I don't mind as much because that's on your skill versus your skill. You know what I mean? And it's not, and I don't feel I'm one of those.
It plays out in front of you. It's not a story being like how
Well,
Darren
right,
explained it
and
earlier with the story being told to you. I feel like is a perfect example of
It doesn't
what a
matter what
wrestling match is.
Doesn't matter what story, Corey. At the end of the day, your teeth get knocked in, you get knocked out.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
care
still
how
it's
much
still
of
a fight in its own degree. It's just with an MMA fight, it's not the dice are being rolled as we speak. You know, with a wrestling match, it is like you say, a story being told while violence and danger is all occurring at the same time.
It's just part of. It's actually the in stuff in the ring is the visual to the audio. That's all it is. It's a story. It's a constant story. But if I don't see you get your hands on each other, or what you mean on bigger, smaller, what the good versus evil, what it is, it's just a way to explain the story as the talking goes. UFC, some dude doesn't have to fight. They can put the biggest production. Why this guy's gonna win? Gonna win. Steps in the ring and knocked out. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? They forget the $1 million that was spent on the production. Who gives a who's this guy with the right?
Well, look, the young kid, we just talked about that. You know, that's a good way to end it. You know, we'll end it on your thoughts on UFC 287. I mean, we just saw it. You know, Raul Rosas, he came in and fought one of our homies and past guests of the show. Shout out to Mondo Gutierrez, who was over there fading up Conor McGregor on the Ultimate Fighter that's going to be coming out. But he beat Mondo on Dana White Contender Series to get in the UFC. Everybody's talking about how hot he was. Hell, I thought he was going to win too. Kid goes in, thing doesn't go, you know, how his first couple fights went. He gasses out, and then he's in trouble. So, I mean, it's you know, that's kind of how it goes. And people hop on the, you know, people hop on that hype train. And then you see the flip to that. You know, you talk about you got to be careful about what you say because it can be used against you. I mean, shit. Israel Adesanya and how he laid dead in front of Pereira's kid. I mean, what were your thoughts on UFC 287 and the big comeback for Adesanya? I know why.
You know why he did that, right?
Oh yeah,
the kid when
his
he
kid
knocked
did
him
that
out,
when
came into the ring and laid down in front of him.
Yep.
Don't ever give me another reason to because that's sitting. So that's sitting in. I look at that more like the Lemieux thing, the Claude Lemieux, March 26, 97, Turtle, whatever like that. You know, he hit Drapes from behind 10 months earlier. I had time to think about it. That's what it reminded me of when I saw that, is that was my motivation to get up every day. I fought you many times. I beat you and stuff like this, but we're going to go there, take it to that another level. And that's the realness of it. because here's the one thing: how many motherfuckers talk, right? And then just talk. When you see a motherfucker actually talk and then show you action and stuff like this, that's the motherfucker that I want to ride with. That's what I pride myself on. So when you see that, and then you look at the Y and go, dude, that kid better get an extra spank. You ain't cried hard enough yet, kid. How many times we all been told it? You think you're crying now? Wait till daddy gets home.
Yeah. I mean, that's for the celebration to kind of address that. I don't like the fact that Izzy
It's not in the
admitted he
sportsmanship part, but it's
yeah,
also too. I was raised by John Rambo. They drew first blood. That's all
he
it is.
admitted that in the post-fight speech. He was one of the first things he said after he had admitted the fact that yes, it was directed directly at his kid was yeah, it was petty, and I don't really care. I was holding a grudge for 5 years or whatever it was since that last fight, and now you know what? I had my moment, and for him, honestly, to like summarize that fight from the Izzy side, for him to have to live through the danger that he lived through in that second round. It looked like, in at least in my humble opinion, like he was going down a bad road. It looked like he was about to start getting pieced up, and he was getting backed
Well,
up against the
Pereira was a
fence.
lot more he was a lot. He fought a
Aggressive.
lot more.
He was
Yeah, he was
very
started a
like
lot quicker this time.
direct. He was very direct compared to his last fight, and it clearly worked in his disadvantage. But for Izzy, man, like you say, we always point towards the victor in these. You know, we forget kind of the loser story in this one, but it, he really conquered his boogeyman. He really kind of like overcame that thing where the first kickboxing fight, arguable with the whole decision on how it went. I don't know. I'm sure most of you guys probably haven't seen it, but fans maybe have. The second one, we all know that's the big storyline. He got knocked out kickboxing, and then all of a sudden, Izzy makes his way to UFC, becomes this unforgettable streak. And then now it's to get that win back, to steal his celebration and hit him with the bow shots at the end. You could just tell, like, I say it all the time. The storyline in MMA that gets to me the most and kind of is when you just see their face at the end of the fight, all that emotion, all that feeling that they've built up over the fight camp, over everything else. Just the mental game to be able to kind of relax for a half a second and be able to actually see that they've overcame something, and especially in this circumstance, like I say, with a true like boogeyman circumstance where the dude followed you to a whole different organization, then came and stole your belt, and now here is essentially your last chance to be able to right this wrong, if that's how it really is in the story of Izzy. And that's what it looked like on Saturday. And yeah, it was wild, man. For him to be able to go through what he had to go through to be able to get the finish, and for it to happen the way it did with just kind of like a nasty like 2-punch combo was just wild.
The only way out is through, gentlemen. Sometimes
Yeah.
in life, and that's what Izzy proved. And you like, where does this? What does it look like to attain? And to me, my boogeyman has been alcohol and whatever like that. And I've been working on 8 years now. So it can help to be able to get through to
Congratulations,
something
sir.
and relate it to yourselves as something that you never think you can get through or to fight for, but it's worth it. And then when you see the guys with the highest of highs have to go through the exact same thing that you do on the
Mm-hmm.
daily basis, that's the connection. That's where it
Yeah.
is. That's the real to everything else is what you say. And that's the beauty of the sports and the things that we love.
Yeah, it's just such a raw emotion at the end when their hand gets raised, when they see their opponent on the ground, especially in the finishes and stuff. It's like you can just see their like not spirit leave their body, but it's like it is like a extra what's that called when you feel like you're more than yourself, or out of body experience type
Out
of
of body
feeling. Like,
experience, yeah.
yeah, they're like, you can really just see it in their eyes that they've achieved something that they've been striving for. And with his post fight speech, telling everybody to go for something. It doesn't have to be fighting. It doesn't have to be anything particularly, but challenge yourself in one way or another in life and find something that gives you that type of feeling that he felt on Saturday. That
Absolutely.
post fight speech was amazing.
King Louis back. That's King Louis back there. He's challenging to get up to the next level. So anybody who's wondering, the cat walking around, that's King Louis.
King Louis said, "Fuck around and find out." I mean, dude,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like. All right, hang on. Before I get out of here, Don's got a question for you before we get out of here. So I have a question for D-Mac. How emotional was it for everyone repping SPO who recently passed away? Did it linger to the locker room?
But and that's a good Dottie, as you always do. It's I'll take this time to say it's a shout out is the weekend that we had, and obviously losing not only Sean Patrick O'Brien, SPO, one of the best refs in the independent scene, especially the death match scene. Was real hard. That's why it was great. Hoodfoot's was emotional with winning the championship, and Sean and him were really tight, and that's what the community is. So it felt like he was there, right? And also too, shout out to Mike Pissjug that we all know being around, that we lost him too. So shout out to Pissjug too. Over the weekend felt like both of them were there, a part of it. I know during the Tommy, if you watch back, the Tommy and the Randy match, they both took big swigs out of the piss jug that was sitting there in honor of Mike. So as a shout out as Michigan staple. So I think it was a celebration, Donald, and I think you felt it too. And everybody who wasn't there, felt to be a part of it. And that's the beauty and the love of what wrestling has. That will be, especially in Michigan. So that's your answer, Donald. Till next time.
I love it, man. I love it.
Hell yeah, man. Well, that's as good a way as any to bring it out. RIP SPO. Definitely seen a lot of stuff for him as well. Definitely saw a lot of RIP Jay Briscoes when I was in LA. So definitely sucks seeing people leave too soon. But the good thing about this show is I'm sure this won't be the last time that we're chatting with our good buddy D-Mac. So before I let you get out of here, man, anything you want to plug, anything you got coming up, anything you need people to know, feel free to throw it out.
Yeah, man, so much. Go check out Darren McCarty 4 on Twitter. I need the blue check marks, DarrenMcCarty.com. Daily doing the Woodward Sports 11 to 1 Big D Energy. And we're gonna talk about this as it gets closer, come back on, but August 5th, SummerSlam's coming. August 4th, there'll be a Flophouse wrestling event at the Old Miami downtown, put on by our favorite malfeasant Schwartzy. And actually I will be in attendance, and actually Grinder, my band, will be playing after the show. So there's a little
hell yeah.
There's a little knockouts and three counts.
We're gonna be at Flophouse. We're gonna be at
absolutely little knockouts and three counts exclusive right here tonight. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun in the D to get ready for the eve of SummerSlam. So there you go. There's your big announcement.
Hell yeah. Fuck around and find out. If you're new here,
talk more about it as it gets closer.
Donald's already saying Jordan, he's carpooling. You already got Smitney. What up, though? Our good buddies from Breaking Down the Ring saying he's going to be in attendance. Hey, I already got the week off, so the post office can't tell me I can't come. So I will be there. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you missed any of this, because you don't know who's coming through here. But this Thursday, he's known for dropping warheads on people's foreheads. The homie Bulletproof Troop is coming back through fresh off of NWA 312 gone down in Chicago. Shout out to Chicago, Rob. No, I don't need to mob a guy in LA. Make sure you hit subscribe. or we might have to mob you next. Peace.